I don't know why I can't unmute that from in here, but it's not letting me unmute it from here. I can mute it, but I can't unmute it. I can mute it, but I can't unmute it.
Well, I told you about, I told y'all about when you go down the train. I guess you're coming from Silver, because I forget which train it is, but it goes down one of the rivers, and the people on the river are trying to find that train. Oh, that movie. When we were over there, I did when I went to
Yeah, I'm at a meeting.
I probably won't go to my grave if I ever did
Not
that.
much. It was rain north of our house, but it wasn't raining outside.
Hello.
Meeting down here at City Hall. That time.
Hey, Isaac.
Hello.
Okay, I'll back it in, make it off. I said, back it in, take it off when you get to. All right, let's see.
It's 6 o'clock. Are we ready?
I am.
Yep.
I don't know.
Oh, well, we think somebody. Oh, that's who.
It's Mark and Isaac. I don't know. Yeah, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess we're ready to go. I'll call the meeting to order. We have a quorum, and we have our minutes in front of us. If you want to approve those, I guess that would be in order.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve the minutes from last month's meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Public comments. Public comments before we get to the agenda. All right, we'll go to item 4A, Horton Highway Utilities District zoning change request. Do I have anyone here to speak to that?
Mark Curtis. We just need to be the one for the office. So it's all general, so we just won't do the steps necessary to place that.
Okay. Mark, did you have something you wanted to speak to on Horton Highway Utility District?
I had a discussion with Todd today, and I'll kind of let him go over what we discussed as far as all the existing utilities, including their storage yard for their materials and equipment, are currently in B2. It does say in the permitted use table that utility offices are permitted in B2, but it says that if it has a storage yard in it, it's supposed to be in an M1. And my question to Ty today was, which one of those would be better for us? Would M1 be spot zoning? I don't think it would matter to Horton Highway as long as they were allowed to do what they needed to do, no matter what the zoning change was, no matter what it was changed to. But that was my question, and I'll let Todd kind of explain what his thoughts are.
Okay, so Todd, turn it over to you.
Yeah, so basically, as I understand, the adjacent properties are B1. Is that correct, Mark?
I think so. They're B1 and B2, the properties that are adjacent to them.
Okay. So I think this is all driven by the fact that it's not really clear under our current permitted use table where this would fit with storage, and we think that clearly they've been operating in a B2, and that's probably okay. But my suggestion would be, instead of a rezone to an industrial zone, which could be argued is spot zoning, would be to change the permitted use chart. If the commission wanted to recommend the change, just to allow for utility, or I think probably a better term would be public facility uses, to allow for offices and storage, either by special exception in B zones, maybe a B2 zone, or by right. Special exception might be better because you could have some more review and control over maybe the extent of the storage and the industrial type uses on the property. But anyway, I think instead of just opening up to an industrial zone, I probably suggest amending or recommending amending to the board a change to the definition to allow this kind of use in a B2 zone.
What's Duck River Electric? Do they not have trucks and stuff behind there? Mark?
What was the question?
What is Duck River Electric across the street here zone?
It's probably B1 or B2.
It's, yeah, everything is B2. It's, you know, Chapel Hill Utilities, you know, our water plant's B2, United Communications is B2, Duck River is B2. So everything right now is located in a B2.
What is this property zone B1?
It's B1 right now. So again, I think if the recommendation were to rezone it B2, and then I would, again, as we're going through the process, I just suggest clarifying it, to make it clear that this type of use is permissible in a B2. Then I think then the question is, if you wanted to consider doing it by special exception, but I don't know that that's necessary. I think you can just do it as a permitted use, and we can change the chart accordingly to make it clear.
Well, we'll still do the design criteria anyway, so if we need any fencing or screening or whatever, we still have some say in that issue, right?
You would for design review, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really for doing it for a special exception for just because they're a utility. They have a purpose, just like, you know, average Joe out there building his property for his use. I'm not for special exception. I'm for their project. If it needs to go to rezoning, I'm not against spot zoning. I think in certain situations, spot zoning should be allowed. That's just me. But that's how I feel about it as far as special exception. I'd rather just get it rezoned.
Not really.
No, because I don't think y'all make a special exception for one and not the other. I mean, their project is no more important to them than, you know, somebody else coming in off the street that needs a garage behind their excavating shop or whatever their job is my opinion.
So what are you wanting it to go to be B2? Is that what you're?
Yeah, I mean, if Duck River Electric is B2, then y'all are going to have similar situation as Duck River. I would like to see it rezoned. And I want you to know I'm not against it. I just don't think you ought to say, okay, let's make a special exception.
Well, it's gonna be rezoned to allow it, it's just not
Yeah.
gonna say we're only gonna do it as a favor for one and not for everybody that follows.
That's
So it means you're for it,
So-
you just don't want
yes.
to stick favorites.
So
Yeah.
you're making a motion here to rezone to B2. Is that
I'll
what
make a
I'm
motion
hearing?
What's that?
Will B2 get, I think B2.
Hold on
will-
one second. Hold on one second, Isaac. Somebody
Okay.
wants to speak in the crowd.
I'm Pete Lopez, I'm a board member of the Orange Highway Utility. I agree with you, we're not asking for favors. We're planning to build, probably start building if, you know, we probably use it. We want to make sure that, you know, we have the adequate zoning,
Sure.
value of our land.
Yeah.
That we just purchased. If another utility, like you said, is, we just wanna make sure to be,
Yeah.
too. That way we can, and I mean, y'all, it's gonna go, when we start building, or, if we, the day we're gonna come to y'all, and basically, y'all gonna give us the design,
Yeah.
aspects of, recommendations,
Right.
or what needs.
So
It doesn't make,
they too will take care of.
yes, it doesn't make sense that, especially, us, because what happens if I myself turn around and buy next door,
Yeah.
just for sale. And, are y'all gonna do an exception for me too? It doesn't make sense. I think it should be a process.
Yeah, and that's what he's saying. He wants it to be blanket, so it's the same for everybody.
Yeah.
I just would suggest, and this is a recommendation, of course, to the board, because they're the ones that have passed the ordinance, but that we also amend the permitted use chart, just to make it clear that this type of use is permitted in B2. I know it's already happening, but it's not clear just looking at the chart, so.
So basically that will go to vote.
Correct.
So you're going to give me your motion.
Well, I think.
Let's see what Isaac has to say. Isaac, go ahead and speak loud, because
Yeah, I was just wanting to make sure that the B1, if we're going to rezone from B1 to B2, like Todd was saying, make sure the B2 is going to get them what they need. And it sounds like if they were asking for M1, B2 right now as it stands wouldn't allow them to do what they need. Am I correct?
Right,
I think
right
there's
now,
a question with regard to the storage part of it, as to whether that would be permitted. Again, I know we've got some other similar uses existing, but just based on the language of the ordinance, I'd feel more comfortable if we specifically change the chart to allow it in a B2.
Okay.
And that's going to be consistent with the adjacent uses as well.
Okay.
And of course, if the ownership ever changed, you'd still be in a B2 zone for that property and not an industrial zone.
So once we get this, the next step would be for us to send a recommendation to BOMA, once we do this, to change that and see if we can get that on next month's agenda.
Correct.
Okay,
And I think it can all be part of the same motion.
okay, so, is that your motion?
that's my motion. You want to restate my motion?
I have a motion, do I have a second?
And that's the reason I went to B2.
Let's be clear, favorable recommendation to the government to make the chart changes necessary to allow them to have the storage needed.
That is correct. That is correct.
Can I ask a question? So storage unit, what is the current storage unit on the B2? I know we're not, our current situation is we're not building more than that. What's the maximum we have to say?
We're under 75.
Low.
Those structures.
So the office space is gonna be in the front. It's similar, let's bring them similar to Duck River.
Right.
Is the storage space, is it gonna be a brick structure?
Any of the storage, any structure, would need to be consistent with
all of
the
Duck
primary
River-
structure.
Is all of Duck River?
I don't know
Huh?
what accessory structures they have, but
What's it?
I don't know what accessory structures they have.
I think their back is metal. isn't it?
Yeah, so back and brick.
I think it's because of what you can see from the street. That would.
Yeah, and I'm not sure when it was approved, if the design guidelines changed.
Came before us, I mean, yeah, it becomes the document.
I think,
I think, didn't we approve Duck River Electric?
We did, but we may have amended. There was something with portions of the building weren't visible from the road. And we may have amended our design review criteria since we approved Duck River as well.
Because I think there's something that, like, if you can't see one of the sides, so like if there's two sides that you can see from the road, the other two sides that you can't, they don't have to be, right?
Yeah, which is going to be tougher. They're not on the
Yeah,
corner.
because it's visible from all angles. except
Yeah,
for
they're-
the back, at least, and there's a subdivision in the back, right? Like it
Yeah,
kind
and they're close to the corner up there, so I don't.
Sort of.
Okay, we have a motion on the table.
I second it.
You've got a second. Can we go ahead and take a vote? All in favor, leave it on by saying aye. Any opposition, motion carried.
you good with that, Isaac?
Yes.
Okay, Are y'all good with that? And hopefully we'll have that on the agenda for Bowman, in July the 13th, I believe is the day. All right. Now, we'll move on to the next side of our business, which is Chapelville daycare plans and elevations.
Well, two things. The first thing was the landscaping thing, we wanted some more detail on that. I had the engineer put the trees on. I think I left one. Yeah, that right there. And then I took
She
pictures.
hadn't at the,
I got one.
oh, you got one?
And I took
You want one?
pictures.
Sure. This is what they handed me out, I don't know what.
Well, those are pictures that were taken in January, and this is the picture today of the back of the property. I mean,
It's pretty grown up.
it's pretty grown up. I mean, I think they had any vegetation left here to be hard pressed. Understand what you're trying to accomplish. So the landscaping thing was on the back of the property. That was the.
Yeah,
But,
do you own that vegetation or is it on the
Yeah,
property
no,
line? Or-
well, some of these trees are on the property line. A lot of this stuff, the lower stuff is on.
The only reason I asked is if the neighbor cut it down when the lease is starting.
Well, I mean, I think the tree, most trees, I think, kind of, this line is pretty much is,
Right.
you know, you do joint ownership.
Well, the neighbor cut it down, it pretty much be,
I
well,
mean,
it's about him wanting to plant more trees.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean,
That's true.
the ordinance there is to protect the landowner.
No, I agree.
What's the use on that property?
Daycare,
No, I'm sorry, on the adjacent property.
residential.
And I would say those trees are all mature trees, aren't some of those mature trees which nobody would want to cut down
I mean,
anyway.
you can see it. You sure trees too, though.
They aren't no good.
Well, and that's it, that's with January.
Yeah.
And this is,
No.
Yeah.
So when we asked Robert to provide something,
I see, walnut tree.
Can,
what, I mean, what were we asking him
Can-
to?
can I speak to that in just a second?
Hold on, go ahead, Mark.
Back in January, we approved a site plan subject to design review. So what he has brought to us today are things to consider for design review. We had talked about a buffer, we had talked about materials. I think we wanted to see elevations, and that's what he's brought to us today is basically to finish up his site plan approval from January. This is what he has brought back to us for design review. I think the motion in January was approval subject to design review.
Okay.
So I do have a question on the design review. Are you proposing that the entire exterior veneer be smart siding?
yes.
And I know we approved Hardy. We approved Hardy or brick or stone or any other masonry substance.
Hey, Isaac, educate me on what smart siding is.
It's a wood chipboard rendition of Hardy plank, but it's made out of it's better than plywood. It's better than real wood, but it's not a cement board. It's like a T111, almost like a T111 product, but it comes in sheets. But it lasts longer. It's not masonite. It's not going to fall apart in a few years, but it's my belief that particular product is not on our approved exterior veneer substance. But I think we left it open-ended where we could approve other products if we feel that it's equal to or better, than brick, Hardy, or stone. And I mean,
Hardy is a composite, which is a brand name.
Hardy is like a cement board. The smart siding is almost like a pressed board equivalent of Hardy, but it's not made out of cement.
Hardy's made out of cement.
Hardy has cement in it. Yes.
Say it again, Isaac.
Yes. Hardy is a composite with cement in it, and the smart siding is LP's equivalent of Hardy. They compete with Hardy, but it's not a cement board product. So I don't think it's on our approved list, but we can certainly adopt it to be on our approved list. But it has the look of wood siding.
It has the look of Hardy board.
Yes, overall, yes. After it's painted, yes.
There was I don't know, I was in there too, that was just the way it was used.
Is that where it's used before? They ought to have plenty of it.
You recycle it.
Yeah.
Or they close.
Most of them are, still a few of them. You know. So are we bringing up, Mark, to see if we would approve the smart siding? Is that the question before us?
Yeah, the complete design review, the motion in January was to approve the site plan subject to design review. So anything that has to do with the design review approval, is what y'all are approving now or talking about.
I do have a question. Would it be cost comparison wise, is the smart siding substantially cheaper than just doing the building with brick, or are you just worried, Mr. White, are you just worried that the building wouldn't look right with brick?
Out there in broad daylight, I was trying to do something to make you guys happy. It's a little bit cheaper than Hardy pipe, but here again, the composite thing is what I was getting to, and I think it looks better than the way the Hardy pipe, which is more like planks across there, look.
Just to go vertically or horizontal?
Mark had something to say.
Go ahead, Mark.
I will say that, in the past, we have taken into consideration since this is an addition, what, if it's, consistent with the rest of the building.
Yeah.
So, I think that could be taken into consideration, like, we did the cedar, on the veterinarians edition up here, which was improved material, but one of the considerations that it was consistent with what the building already looked like. So I think that could be taken into consideration here with what you do.
Okay.
And Mark, the design thing would be is try to tie into the back of Horton Plaza, and the doors in this band across the front of the building would probably be more of a color, of that dark color, and then the rest of it would be a lighter color to try to match the look of the back of Horton Plaza, which is going to be, Horton Plaza is here, so I mean.
Well, I think as long as it looks like what's there, is a plus,
Do we need to add it to our approved materials audit?
I'm going to not have an opinion.
Yeah, I would, if anybody is going to advise us on that, I'd prefer for it to be Todd.
All right.
As far as, do we need to add that to our approved materials, or does he think that we're good approving that material, with all the other with all the other criteria?
I think I would just rather have it.
So here's what the language says. Unless it's, and Isaac, and you help me if you think this has been changed to make any sort of specific list, but it says preferred materials include brick, stone, and wood, and new synthetic materials that approximate the look and dimension of these materials, such as cementitious siding, artificial slate, and some artificial stone products. Use of these quality materials is required on all front building facades and is strongly recommended for all other building facades visible from the public right of way for commercial, office, and multifamily residential buildings. So I don't know that we've got anything more specific than that. I guess the only other thing I would say though is, if this is a different product and do approve it, then whether you formally add it to the list or not, you're probably saying somebody else can use it as well.
Is it as durable as fiber cement? Take away Hardy. Hardy doesn't really matter. That's just a brand name, but is it as durable?
The sales rep for LP say it is. It's not been around long enough to know for sure, but
No, I don't think, no, this still,
No, that's what my well house was, made. I know that.
No, it's a new product. It's not been out that long.
I didn't know.
How long has it been out? A few years?
at least 5 or 6 years that I know of.
Yeah, I'm not understanding.
Well, you,
T111.
T111, we will run it.
Yeah, it will, right?
I don't, well, let me ask you a question. I was under the understanding that the code required me to put and approve stuff on all 4 sides. And I would like to do this in a metal building, and I'd even brick the front of it. You can put the metal on the sides and the back, nobody's gonna see. But I didn't, that's where I'm lost. I heard you guys talking about metal, I'm in B2, but I was under the interpretation I had to meet this material qualification.
Yeah, there's a house to the north side of you there, right? So you'd have to put brick on the.
North side's Tom the Lord to vacant lot.
No.
We did make an amendment.
Oh, yeah.
But there's a 0 set side setback. That's zoning. My understanding was, I thought.
It's visible, it doesn't matter if there's no side setback.
We did make the amendment that requires all 4 sides to be of approved material.
Oh, we did.
I was thinking we did, yeah.
Yeah, after our discussion on the Dollar General building, I believe that amendment was made.
Oh, we didn't tell them that.
We didn't tell them they could do no.
Yeah, they haven't brought any design stuff to us at all.
Well,
The first Dollar General building.
Say it again.
The first Dollar General building, I think, we had that discussion probably in 2015, that where we required all sides to be consistent with approved material.
So Mark, I'm backing up a little bit, but when this was passed in January, February, was the issue of landscaping addressed at that time, or was it deferred as part of the site review as well?
It was suggested that the landscaping, whether it was existing or going to be new, that it was just shown on the plan. And that was pretty much the main suggestion for the landscaping, is that whatever they were going to do with landscaping, especially as it pertained to buffers, that it is shown on the plan that we're looking at today.
So was that new landscaping shown?
Well, no, I had the engineer come back and do it. He just came back and
He's just drawn.
he's drawn what's on there.
But so you're not proposing any additional landscaping? Okay.
And then that was, I think that was discretionary. He said, we'll put something down and maybe plant some pictures back. What was there.
Yeah, I think what he's showing here at least complies with what we asked him for on the landscaping.
Is it really the cost that much different from fiber cement to the LP Smart, like, for us to make we set a precedent every time we do something different, so.
Well, I'm wondering, what you read there, it's talked about this composite stuff, and they would say this is a composite.
I think the
What to
word
say again, Tom?
cementitious was the word that is in this language.
I just feel that.
Yeah, like cement.
I feel that.
And Yeah, so, and that's good. Anything else, any other siding's gotta be a minimum less than 25%.
High strength cementitious mortar, which is set within an hour and a half.
There, I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it right here. I've got the minutes pulled up from 2015 where it says the material was uniform on all sides.
Okay.
Mark, did that change the types of materials at all in that?
No, it just said that they're consistent on all sides.
Okay.
The word cementitious would allude to fiber cement then, if the other smart siding doesn't have cement in it, right?
Well, I think it does have some, I mean, I don't, that's, well, I mean, I guess I mean, the
Well, and the other issue too, you know, typically maybe this is it that I didn't see.
this is the front and this is the back. And this is gonna be a little overhang, which I think you can see on the side of this.
It's made of wood strands that are coated with resin binder and compressed to create a wood.
So is that product going it's going all the, you're proposing it to go all the way around the whole building, all the way to grade? Or are you going to brick up? Are you going to do like a wainscot and brick up to the window sills or something? Or you're just running the smart siding all the way to the slab?
All the way to the slab, and then, like I said, the overhang, you treat a different cover on the front would be a different, you would treat that a different color.
It says here, smart side products feature engineered wood strand technology, protection against hail, wind, moisture, fungal, decay, and temperature.
It says resin.
It's okay. It was similar. I didn't have the rest of it. First one.
Have resin in it rather than.
Well, I don't see resin in this definition, but I mean, what'd you look at? I looked up that fee.
It's comprised of wood strands that are coated with resin binder and compressed to create a board. Whereas that says, say the word, cementitious.
Yeah, that's how
I started to say concrete, yes.
If we wanted to allow the smart side, what would we have to do to permit that?
I mean, we're splitting hairs here.
I know.
I like the price difference.
I know, but I just want to know if we approve this, if we take.
Well, I mean, one thing is, hardy plank makes one like that, but just a hardy plank is more of a horizontal versus a vertical thing.
Oh, is yours vertical?
Well, this,
I see that is, but
that's where, yeah, that's the way you normally want it, like vertical.
So you're wanting it to more mirror the image of the building. Because you've got metal on the other building that it's going to
Yeah.
that it's going to be an accessory to.
Yeah.
So can we, if we go with it because of the way it looks, can we just do it as an exception and not change the rules, or how does that impact?
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you were inclined to do that, I think that would definitely be part of the basis of the approval, is to say that it, you know, it's consistent with the existing structures. And I don't remember exactly how it lays out
Well,
compared to the other structure.
this is, the other structure is running
Right.
here, so what you're looking down is the back side. So this is the back side, so this building is gonna sit, this structure here, this building is gonna face this way.
Okay.
And my proposal is to put the doors and that overhead trim there, the same color as the same color. So make the doors is overhead trim would be the dark stuff, and the rest of it would be painted in that building there. We try to make it.
What you got, Mark?
Would we be setting a precedent for, if we approve this, would we be setting a precedent for just additions like this to existing buildings, or would we be setting a precedent to brand new commercial buildings?
Well, I would certainly try to, if it were to be approved, I would certainly try to do it in such a way that it was limited and approved only because it if it closely matches the existing building so that we could say it's not a precedent for new construction.
Because it's an addition to an existing facility and it is consistent with the look of the existing facility.
Correct.
And it also has limited street view. I mean, it gets back pretty far.
Her whole house, she got a little fence.
I think it would look better vertical with what's there than it would horizontal.
Well,
Because it's already
Mary,
vertical.
I like the texture of it. I think you go to Hardback, you just got like a smooth, you know.
But they have wood grain there. You can get Hardy that's got the wood grain in it, the wood grain look. Yeah, it's paintable, so if you wanted to paint it with it, you can get
Oh, yeah.
generic that's paintable to be like the same kind of color.
Well, you can buy some hard paint. Some colors are.
Yeah, you can.
You can do that here on this stuff.
What's your pleasure?
Isaac, you got anything else?
No opinions.
I'll mark that down. This is the first.
All right.
I mean, I think with everything that he has brought us here, we've asked him to bring us, I mean, I think it meets the details of the landscaping and the materials, I think, in the motion, so we can have it in the minutes that we're approving it, or we're gonna vote on it to approve it, because of it is an add-on to an existing structure. So I make that motion to approve his design, criteria, the design that he's brought in with his materials that he has said with the smart side. Todd, do you want to put any legal terms in here because it is an addition?
No, I think in that part of the motion, I think that's fine. We'll make sure we get those in the minutes, but it comes up again.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Okay. God, I'm gonna like to second. Yeah.
Well, we got to tell him something.
Okay, what's your pleasure?
Let me make a motion. I would make a motion. We approve the site plan and the design review criteria with a cement-based product. It can have the same look, but be a better product that's already on our approved list. And I think it can have the same look, the overall look that you're going for. If Mr. White would be willing to do that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess like I said, LP presents this product as a similar product to Hardy Paint. And that's the reason I went with this, because I just thought the look was better than on the horizontal versus the vertical look. And like I said, I was under the impression this stuff was not, it's at least a first cousin to what.
It's because
Isaac, you know the terminology better. Is that something?
Yeah, well,
that Mark could verify the material based on, I mean, is that clearly defined with the way you stated it?
Yeah, I don't know how I can say this because I'm being filmed. So I'm just gonna shut up.
Well, you know, I think the motion that Isaac made, you know, basically puts us within what we have written down that we would approve, because it's, you know, cement-based material.
Okay, I have a
So I
motion.
think that takes us out of any kind of, you know, precedent that would, you know, would be set, because
And another thing, whether it's a smart siding product or a cement-based product, the product before us right now, to me, looks like masonite paneling or T111, which is what you see on storage sheds. It's not, a building like a Texas Roadhouse or a Logan's Roadhouse maybe, but it's not a style of product that you see on a lot of commercial buildings. And you can simulate the same look as your metal, your metal siding that you have with a board and bat, product, whether it's a Hardie product or equivalent. I think you could have the same look with more of a board and bat style product versus a product that looks like what you would put on a shed.
If we make it, like if I second that motion, if he brings it back in, can Mark sign off on it? I think is what Todd was asking earlier. Like, as long as whatever the product name says that it has a cement base, or does he need to come back before us next month?
Can we not ask Mr. White if he's acceptable to that and make the motion and approve it tonight?
I think so.
Well, like I said, I can go back and get some product. Like I said, I was led to believe that LP product was their answer to Hardie. And it won't rot, and it won't termite. I mean, that's, and I think that said they had other commercial applications shown, other commercial. I just thought the one with the Logan thing, I thought they recognized it.
Well, let me ask this: can you get the LP? Can you get the LP in a wood grain 4x8 panel, and make it like a board and bat style look versus the recessed 8-inch on center grooves that resembles your old style masonite, plywood or your T111 plywood? I just, in a commercial application, it's not, it's more of the look that bothers me than the product itself. I just don't think the T111 is going to simulate the look of the metal that's on the building now.
I mean, T111 makes me think of the product that was a really tiny place I lived in when I was really young that had to be replaced after 8 years. I mean, it just has a different look.
I mean, opposed to the board and bat and stuff, is from a durability standpoint. I mean, the last thing I put on that building good, just because of the durability and the maintenance and like I said, this composite, what I thought was composite product is what I thought I was getting to Hardie Plank. But I think Hardie Plank makes one similar to that. So I'm gonna bring you back to cement. I think I disagree with what you're trying to accomplish here. But that's.
Do you want us to vote tonight on the Hardie Plank? If we vote on the Hardie Plank, you can move forward.
You said something about cement products. You guys have put something in there.
That's what it says, the cement product.
But it also said something about gave you the look of the wood thing. Like I said, the T111, like I said, is just look better T111.
And again, think that language has been changed.
Use of brick, stone, and metal is encouraged because of longevity and reduced cost of maintenance for homeowner association and property owners, chain link, fence, vinyl. Choose high quality designs and materials such as brick, stone, metal, and wood. Select materials used elsewhere on the property or structures within the site. The use of it's okay. There's so much information in all that. Preferred materials include brick, stone, and wood, and new synthetic materials that approximate the look and dimension of these materials, such as cementitious siding, artificial slate, and some artificial stone products. Use of these materials is required on all fronts of buildings. Of course, we just said it was all 4 sides.
One more question. This coffee house y'all put down there, what does that mean?
I didn't. I can't answer that.
That's a good question.
I mean, to me, like, it looks like to me, whatever the other stuff, 2/111, whatever it is, that y'all just approved it.
I didn't approve it.
The board approved it.
No,
This board, did.
this board did not approve it.
I thought the structure instead of city of Chapel Hill, that'd be good.
All right.
Right, so I mean, I'm comfortable with the thing that says it's got to meet the cement or whatever that.
So we'll make a motion that,
Isaac's motion still on the table.
I think it's a motion, but we have not had a second.
I second it.
I have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion?
you don't have to come back for the business. Is that
Well, I really know the motion y'all said about, you know, that it had to be, it had to meet the material characteristics of what you got in the thing, cement, which I think is hard plank is over. I think it's about on hard plank. If I do hard plank, I do hard plank. And like I said, I
Yeah,
guess.
you'll be able to find an everyone that's more cost effective than party plan.
Any more discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor, say aye. Any opposition? Hearing none, motion carries.
I'm still off where I was.
Cementious product.
Something made of us.
Cement, I just.
Yeah, that's
just
it.
bring back up.
And you don't, and
You're
you
good to
That was
go.
the motion.
yeah, and you don't have to bring it back before us. You can go ahead and start, right?
Is that right, Mark?
What's the question?
He doesn't have to bring anything back before us.
No,
It
that's
just has
it.
to be that.
Yeah, that way you can go ahead and start.
Thank you. All right, now we have item C, discuss the moratorium.
I just wanted to bring this up because we did extend our moratorium another 30 days due to wastewater capacity. And we haven't talked about it in a while with this board. Just wanted to, I did actually speak to the engineers today. We will have something ready to, you know, for the board at the meeting on the 13th of July. You know, for them to make a decision whether or not they want to further extend it. We are getting closer and closer to some kind of, well, the county is getting closer and closer to an agreement on water and to, you know, getting their project started on the water side. But right now, our moratorium is due to wastewater capacity. And I know that we've got, you know, one development that's going to come to us probably next month with some kind of request. So, you know, that's just something I wanted to bring up. That will be, you know, coming up with the Board of Mayor and Aldermen again on the 13th. Engineers will have some kind of recommendation, and just wanted to make you aware of that.
Mark, I do have a question on that. If the moratorium remains in place, does the city have to accept an application even if a developer brings an application in? Does the city have to accept the application and then we just deny it, or can y'all just reject the application because of the moratorium?
I would let Todd answer that, but I would think that if a moratorium is in place, then we wouldn't have to accept an application.
Yeah, the way I've had this happen in the past is, you know, typically if somebody submits it, you just advise them that, you know, there's the moratorium in place and that it's not going to be approved, allow them the opportunity to withdraw it.
Okay.
If it's a plat and if push comes to shove, I typically recommend go ahead and let the planning commission just deny it.
Deny it.
So that it couldn't be argued that it was somehow automatically approved.
Okay.
There is one thing I want to bring up with this body and the specifics of the moratorium. You know, the moratorium is actually on the subdivision of property due to the lack of wastewater capacity. So it's not a moratorium on on taps of any kind. It's a moratorium on the further subdivision of property. So my question that's come up recently is, if the property does not have access to sewer, would they fall under this moratorium, since it is specifically due to lack of wastewater capacity?
If they're willing to run the line to their property, I don't think they would, but it would be subject to one tap per parcel. Would that be a fair assumption?
Just an example, if I have a property that does not currently have access to sewer, and wants to subdivide their one property into two properties,
I think the answer is no.
Are they subject to the moratorium?
If they divide it into two parcels, they are, but if they if they extend the sewer line and buy one sewer tap on one parcel of property without dividing it, I would say that if they're a taxpaying property owner of Chapel Hill, they would be eligible for one sewer connection for that specific parcel of property, but not to further divide it. I mean, I guess that would be my interpretation of what we had talked about before.
And that's just the question that's come to me is,
I think I agree with Isaac on that.
And I think the key word is further dividing. So unless, now the trick would be if somebody had 10 acres and they could legally divide it into 2 5-acre lots with appropriate road frontage and not involve the planning commission, that would be a gray area, because by state law, they can divide their property and over 5-acre parcels. But if somebody had a single 5-acre lot and came to us and said, I want to subdivide it into a 2-acre lot and a 3-acre lot, I think that our answer would be either A, we don't allow the subdivision, or B, only one of the newly created lots would have access to sewer, and the other one would have to be served by a private septic system. Which I mean, if they have enough acreage and suitable soil, if somebody came to us today to subdivide property with septic systems and drill water wells, and they were, greater than 2 acres, I don't know that we could deny them, because they're dividing property, but not asking for water or sewer.
And
but I think the key word is further dividing.
Right, and I think that's what's happening here is they're not asking to be hooked up to the sewer. They're not, I think the plan would be for them to have, be on septic systems instead of on the public sewer.
Well, I think if they were on septic systems and we do not have an issue selling them a water tap, then I would change my answer and say that, I think that we would be able to approve that plat if they're not asking to use the sewer system. And even if one parcel needed to use the sewer system, that's still okay, because they're eligible for one sewer connection on the property as it sits right now. Would be my interpretation, because we restricted development of new properties that needed access to sewer, is my belief of what we have done. Because we put a moratorium on all residential subdivisions because of lack of sewer. So if somebody has adequate soil for septic, now, just like we did at Chapel Hill Estates, I think the city would still need to request that they put in City of Chapel Hill approved tanks, the watertight tanks, to make sure that the placement of their tanks and the type of sewer tanks are adequate and feasible for to hook onto the City of Chapel Hill sewer at a later date.
Well, they need to know that they still have to pay for sewer even though they don't have it.
I don't think they ought to have to pay for it if we got a moratorium.
I've been paying for it the whole time I've owned my building.
Huh?
I've been paying for it the whole time I've owned my building.
You don't,
And I don't have sewer.
but you could.
Yeah, I don't think we should ask them to pay a sewer bill until such time that sewer is available to them. But at such time that sewer is in front of their property and available, and there's not a moratorium, even if they're on a septic system, then I think the city would have a right to require that they pay a sewer bill.
I think that
it's their choice. It's their choice.
I think that needs to be highly disclosed to them at the time they come in
I
for a
agree.
building permit, to let them know that, hey, you're gonna spend money on a septic system, But when the moratorium is lifted, even if you choose not to hook up to sewer, you're gonna have to start paying it. If that's the route we go or the BOMA goes, that needs to be highly disclosed to the people. Because they could put in a sewer system, I mean, they could put in a septic system and then 2 or 3 months later, oh, by the way, we're ready now, start paying it after you just paid for the septic system. You agree?
I agree, yeah. I thought I
Huh?
I thought
I just wanted to let y'all know that at least one of those is probably gonna be coming to you next month.
Okay.
Alright,
And
any
Mark,
other-
Mark, would we, I know, and Todd, this is kind of a question for you as well. On our checklist, for subdividing a property, we don't, it's my belief that we don't have a whole lot of language revolving around septic systems as far as soil types and soil maps, because we don't deal with septic systems a lot, 'cause we have sewer. Is that something that we as a planning commission just we'll just kind of use our discretion at the time we see the plat to make sure that it's, adequate to move forward with septic systems?
Yeah, I'll have to look back and see what our ordinance says, because again, there's some old language in there that we haven't used in a long time. And it may not even address it clearly, but if it does, we'll have to make sure they comply with whatever's on the books. If not, we'll just need to make sure we're protected.
Yeah. Which, Mark, if it's a minor subdivision plat, of less than, I don't remember what our rule is, but less than, 5 lots, and it's just a final, not a preliminary and then a final, when they come in to do their submittal, you'll need to make sure they know that they have to have the subdivision evaluation complete and signed off on by TDEC before we could approve it on a final plat. I personally wouldn't feel comfortable approving a plat subject to them finalizing the subdivision evaluation with TDEC. If they come in with a minor subdivision plat asking for final approval, that process needs to be already done and out of the way. And preferably signed off on, by TDEC.
Okay, now, we do have something in R1 that basically states that if it's don't have access to sewer, you have to have your lot has to be at least 15,000 square feet. But that's the only language that I know of, and I don't think it's in R2 or R3 because of the size of the lots, but that's the only language that I know of that says anything about anything without sewer, access to sewer.
And Mark, if we do have, if the sewer moratorium persists, longer than we hope it will, I think what I'm looking at right there on the screen right now, I think we need to revisit that and change it. And mainly because if you have a 15,000 square foot lot and it takes 10,000 square foot of soil to install and duplicate a 3-bedroom septic system, after you burn 10 foot setback away from all property lines, that leaves you with nowhere to put your house. By the time you meet your setbacks on the septic system, my rule of thumb,
Driveway.
my rule of thumb in the past is with a decent sized home plus a driveway, and your septic system, you really need 25 to 30,000 square foot at a bare bones minimum, to make it work. 15,000 square foot would work for a 1-bedroom septic system. You could have 7,500 square foot of adequate soil, and then all your setbacks away from the property lines. Keep in mind, you got to have a 10-foot setback from the house with your field lines. Your tank has to be at least 5 foot off the house and at least 5 foot away from the field lines. So you take all that into consideration. The only thing a 15,000 square foot would accommodate would be a 1-bedroom septic system and maybe 1,000 square foot house.
Yeah,
If the soil perked.
If it perked. Yeah, that's right.
And it was in the right location.
Yeah, so I think we're all saying the same. I mean, if they're bringing a plan to go septic, whatever lot's going to be served, lot or lots, I mean, it's going to have to, you can pretty much throw the minimum lot size out the window. They're gonna have to just
Yeah.
comply with whatever they need to.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Any more discussion? Number 5, other business. Is there any other business? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Motion.
I hope it don't fail for lack of a second. I'll be here all night.
All right, ready to adjourn.
Hey, Mark, thanks for the update on the sewer. I've had a lot of people have been asking me about the water and the sewer, so I appreciate you giving us an update on that.